We are doing our book report over The 4 Obsessions of an Extraordinary Executive by Patrick Lencioni. This is Rob O'Brien and Emily Reagan, and I am Elizabeth Carver. Rob, what are some things you found interesting about this book?
The biggest thing I took away from the book and I found very interesting was the fact that Rich and Vince were both from the same business school. They graduated about the same time, and they opened up their practices within 3 months of each other, and the differences they showed through their corporation of how the different paths they took. Vince took his practice in the way of he wanted to grow it as fast as possible. He wanted to make as much money as possible, and he didn't really focus on the strength of his people, and he didn't look into the people to find out if they were quality people. Rich, on the other hand, he grew slowly. He wanted to make sure that people were understanding their role in the company. That was part of the four principles in the book, and the things I took away from it was that it really where you came from and how you went through your life didn't really necessarily show. Some possible changes that as a manager might make from reading this book, I would think would be something to do with you realize how important the interview process is. You realize that by having a bigger hand inside the interview, that you can dictate where your company goes from that point. I think that there's lots of good things you can take away from it. All right, Elizabeth, what is something you found surprising or counterintuitive?
Well, I thought that as a manager, you really need to be able to recognize that organizational health is simple in the theory, but difficult in practice. It takes tremendous levels of commitment, as well as courage and consistency. It isn't complicated, but it boils down to practicing the four basic disciplines on a regular and consistent basis. You really wouldn't think that one guy could really mess up an entire organization. So, Emily, what are some reasons why you would or would not recommend this book?
I would recommend this book. I feel that any manager could identify some points that their team is missing or that they could work on to create a healthier work environment for the entire team. This book showed that while it is not particularly easy to implement these disciplines, it is most certainly worthwhile. And I'd like to conclude as the main takeaway was that this story relates to business, and most importantly, putting a focus on having a healthy business, and the way it is accomplished is by the 4 disciplines identified by Richard O'Connor. From this book, I learned that to have a successful business is to start at the core. Any business can make a profit, but to truly prosper is to have a team of people that work well together. Thank you. This concludes our video.
All right, Vanessa. I forgot your name. Sorry. All right, Elizabeth. What is something you found counterintuitive when you read the book?
Look, I learned that a successful business is to start at